Alright, review for Unit 1 of the final. I'm not going to go over every single problem, just going to have the answer key. I'm going to go over a few problems just for reminders. Okay, so please remember when you're solving, when you see the word solve, you want to get an answer of x equals something. Okay? Please remember also when you have a negative sign, careful when you distribute it, and any distribution, remember to draw your arrows to send in to both. I'm still seeing people make errors and only send in to the first position instead of both, or all three, for a trinomial. Please pay attention when you have a negative, that's going to change the sign. So 3x is going to become negative 6x, and negative 3 becomes positive 6. Also, this one's kind of tricky. When you just have a negative sitting out here, everything just goes opposite. Negative 12 minus 3x. Notice on number 2, you're going to end up with 15n plus 2 equals 15n plus, well, whatever 63 minus 16 is. And that is going to be, well, let's see, that would be 47. Okay? 2 is not equal to 47. So those two sides are not equal, which means it's a false statement, which is no solution. Okay? So you can see the first 4. Remember, anytime you need to pause the video, go ahead and do so. Okay, so on this one, when you're distributing the 2, right, you solve it, and oh, the graphs aren't on here. So less than or equal to negative 8, that's going to be a solid dot going that way. On number 6, less than or equal to negative 6, solid dot going that way. Number 7, greater than or equal to negative 5, so negative 5 is going to be right here, greater than or equal is this direction. And less than 0, that's an open dot going that direction. Remember, if you have your variables on the left at all times, then the direction of the arrow is the direction you will draw it. But it's only if you solve with your letters on the left. Also, it didn't occur here, but remember, if you have any variables that are negative and you divide or multiply by a negative, flip the symbol. That's the only difference with equations and inequalities. Multiply or divide by negative, you flip the symbol. Okay, 9 and 10. Remember, you've got to get this by itself first. So in the case of number 9, you have to divide by negative 3, which will make it solvable. If that negative 3 was not there, and that was just a negative, there'd be no solution. You could stop. Or if that was a positive 93, and you divided by negative 3 and got a negative, you could stop, because an absolute value cannot be equal to a negative. Remember, in absolute value equations, if it's solvable, there will be 2 answers. You always have to set up 2 problems. But always get it by itself first. Then you can write it as 2 separate equations. Okay, number 11, got to get rid of the 9 first. Number 12, also get rid of the 9 first. Okay, 13 through 17. Got to get rid of the 5 first here, and then you can solve it. And then this one does not have any graphs on it, so greater than or equal to 12 is a solid dot going that way. Less than or equal to 8 is a solid dot going that way. Less than or equal to 10 is an open dot going that direction. Greater than or equal to negative 10 is an open dot going that direction. So the answer is actually the overlap of this to this. Number 15, less than 6 and greater than negative 6. Well, you can see kind of similar to the last one. It's going to be in between those two with open dots. And same thing with this one, from negative 8 to positive 8. open dot. Skipping 17 through 20. Okay, on 21, notice this was facing this direction, but when we divided by -2, the symbol flipped. All right. Number 23, it was facing this direction, but when we multiplied by -3 on both sides, the symbol flipped. Same thing on number 10. Notice how it was facing this way, but when we divided by -2, the symbol flipped. 25 and 26, not much different than the first page. Distribute, join like terms, simplify, solve. Again, like on the first page, since these are actually it's different. This one is infinite solutions because this equals that. It's a true statement. So on the first page we had a false statement, no solution. That's a true statement. All real numbers. We also put the funky R, remember. Okay, on number 27, can't do it. It's negative. 29, can't do it. It's negative. And even though there's a 3 to divide by, it's a positive 3, which still is a -2. Can't do it. No solution. Now, this one is negative. Well, once we add 5 to both sides, we get a 4. Okay, this is just rewriting. Now remember, if you're solving for A, I suggest you put a box around what you were trying to solve for. You get rid of the B first by subtraction, and then you divide by 3. We're trying to get this by itself. 32, all you do is subtract the W, easy enough. On this one, you're solving for the P. It's being multiplied by AN, so you divide by AN, and you're done. Similar to number 31, add C first. This time it's C instead of B, and we're adding instead of subtracting, and then divide by 4. So 34 and 31 are very close to each other. Okay, Unit 2, functions. Number 1 is yes, because there's no repeats in the x. We have a 2, we have a 3, we have a 4, and we have a 5. No repeats. Number 2 is a yes. It passes the vertical line test. It only hits one place. Number 3 is no, because 0 repeats. Now you say, I only see a 0 once. Well, really, if you think about it, this is 0, 2, and 0, -4. So the x does repeat. 4, same thing. The x repeats. We really have 2, 2, and 2, 3. Right here. X cannot repeat. Y can, X cannot. Okay, please pay attention. This fx is this gx. So it says g of 1, that means you're going to plug a 1 in right here. F of 2 plus 4 means plug a 2 in right here, and then add 4 onto that. So 2 times 2 plus 1, and then add another 4. F of -3, plug a -3 in right there. And solve, simplify. Okay, number 8 is a quadratic. It's a parabola, but the family is quadratic. 9 is absolute value, V for value. All right, says, what is f of 2? Remember, this is really f of x. So if I look at x of 2, I go 1, 2, and find where it hits y. 1, 2, -2. So that is the point. 2, -2 is what you're doing. This one is going backward. This is saying y equals 0. So where is y 0? Right here and right here. At -1 0, and 3, 0. Okay, number 12, X-intercepts. Where does it cross the x-axis? Well, it crosses here, -10, here at 5, and here at 25. The y-intercept is up here at 15. The domain, now notice, there are no arrows here, okay? There's no arrows, so that basically means it goes from here to here. If it had arrows, it would keep going on. But that means left, it goes to -10, and right, it goes to 30. Range, how low does it go? -15. How high? 25. And it's a cubic. So remember, a cubic can look like this. It can look like this. It can look like that. It's just generally, a wave like that. And you can have different shapes depending on the equation. All right, number 13. This you're just plotting the points, okay, after you plug in these numbers. So you take these numbers and put them in right here. So basically you're going to square them all and add 3. Well, if you think about it, x squared is right here. So x squared plus 3 just means move it up 3. That's all it is. So you plug in x. Remember, if you're typing -2 squared in the calculator, that will give you -2. For one, you shouldn't be typing that in the calculator. But if you are, you either got to remember all negatives squared are positive, or put parentheses so that you get a +2. I'm sorry, +4, my bad. +4. Okay, remember, we did not talk about this, so don't worry about it. It is a quadratic, it's a parabola. In behaviors, as x goes positive, y goes positive. As x goes negative, y goes negative. Okay, make your own graph. It has a minimum of 1, -9. So you just go down to 1, -9, and put a dot right there. It has x-intercepts of 4, 0. So you just go to 4, and -2, 0, and you put that. The x-intercept of -8, and you just kind of connect the dots. That's it. Okay, name families. Okay, again, v for value, even though it's upside down. This curve here is a square root function. This is exponential growth. We could also have exponential decay. And we've seen plenty of quadratics on here so far. Find the inverse. Very simple. You literally just trade x for y. You're just going to switch them. So 0, 2 becomes 2, 0. 4, 5 becomes 5, 4, and so forth. Now, is the inverse a function? No, because the 5 repeats in the x's. Is f of x a function? Yes, it is. So the inverse is not. And to see a picture of that, that'd be like saying if this was f of x, here's the inverse. This passes the line test, this does not. So that's an example of how an inverse and an original, one could be a function and one could not. Okay, on B, again, you're just flipping them. So 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 10, 2, 2, 10, 23 becomes 320. And since the x's don't repeat, it's a function. Okay, so you're looking at where the dots are. Now, yes, there are some scattered dots down here, but generally, the dots are in that formation, which is linear. It's a negative slope, so remember, if you write your name on it, it's going downhill, negative. All right? And since it's not very tight, close to the line, it's weak. Whereas number 18, here's your general shape. So it's a positive slope going uphill, and they're a lot closer to the line, so it's strong and positive. Positive going uphill, strong, close to the line. So remember, further away from the line, like the flies, or further away from the line, that means the fly strip is getting weak, And the closer it is, the stronger it is. Okay, 19. You're given all the points. You don't have to plug in anything. Okay, here's the equation, but you're already given all the points. You just plug it in. No, not plug it in. Sorry, you just plot them on the graph and connect the dots. You have an arch shape, okay, which is quadratic. The maximum height is right up here, 16. The width goes from 0 to 8. The domain, actually the original answer was fine. It is from 0 to 8 because it's stopping there. Okay, it's not going on forever with arrows. So it actually is 0 to 8. And the range, we did it differently. Y is less than or equal to 16. Technically, it is 0 to 16 because it has an ending point. But so this is technically right, but we would accept the other one. Number 20, you have two plans, company S and company T. This is the point where they meet. That's the solution to the system of equations. All right? That's the solution. That's where they meet and have the same information, the same data. Now, how many text messages do these two companies charge the same amount? Well, that's where they meet. So 200 is where they meet. Okay? During what interval does company S offer better value? Okay, well, S is better after 200. And company T is from 0 to 200. And E is, there's no right answer, it's based on how many minutes you would use it. Okay, functions, more functions. 21. Notice we have f of x, g of x, and h of x. For 21, you're literally just adding them. And there's really not much to do because x squared and x don't combine. Just leave it the way it is. For 22, this one's not finished. So f of x minus g of x. Okay. So technically, you should FOIL the 2x plus 3, like come off to the side and FOIL it. Okay, and get 4x squared. Outer and inner are going to be the same. So 6x doubled is 12x. And then 9. So technically, this is 3x squared minus 4x squared minus 12x minus 9. Because you have the minus outside the parentheses. And then g of x plus h of x. Well, this one's not finished either. So we know that 2x plus 3 squared is 4x squared plus 12x plus 9 minus 5x plus 1. So we join like terms, and we get 4x squared. 12 minus 5 is plus 7x, and 9 plus 1 is 10. So there's your answer. G of 2 plus 1. So you're going to plug 2 in right here. So 2 times 2 plus 3, and then square it. And then don't forget to add this 1 at the end. And then we're going to plug negative 2 in here. Remember, negative 2 squared is positive 4, not negative 4. And then add 3 after you multiply, and you get 9. And this was just a repeat of the page. Exact same information. Okay, exponents. So first off, k to the 0 goes away because this is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So that's really just 3 times 3k squared. Number 2, remember, number times number, 6. A1 times A3 is A to the 4th. Keep the base, add the exponents. Number 3, we're sending this 4 in and multiplying. 2 times 4 and negative 2 times 4. Remember, negative kids go to the other level, so if they're upstairs, they go downstairs. Or another way to look at this is b to the negative 8 plus b to the 5 is b to the negative 3. And then those go downstairs. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can move the 8 first and then say I have 3 more on the bottom, whatever you want to do. Now on the top, 8 plus 5 is 13. Number 4, most common mistake here is not to square the 2. Remember, there's a 1 there and a 1 there. Okay? That's first off. This y to the negative 2 must move upstairs. That's why it's right there. Okay? So on the top, you have 4 x squared y to the 8. Y that crosses off, well, y to the 2 is, they cancel. It's y to the 0. All right? Or another way to look at it, the bottom here would be 4 y to the 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. You add the exponents, and that makes 1. Then the 4's cancel, you're simply left with x squared y to the 8. Okay, number 5. You have b to the 1, but you need to be able to add the exponents, and you can't add 3 halves plus 1. So 1 is really 2 halves. And then you can add 3 halves plus 2 halves to get 5, and 3 times 2 is 6. Remember here that this is 1 and this is 1, but the 2 remains. If it was written like this, the whole thing would be 1, and the answer would be 1. But basically, the x's go away, and you're just left simply with 2. Because x to the 0 is 1. Okay, a lot going on here. First off, there's a 1 there over the x. The 2 gets sent here, 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 and here. All right? So you have a big old mess. You have 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 2 times 1/4 is 2/4, also known as 1/2. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 3 halves, the 2's cancel, so you're just left with 3. And then this has to go downstairs on the bottom. And the tricky part is you have to add 3 plus 1/2, which is 7 halves. 3 1/2 is 7 halves. You can't write it like this. Y and then 3 1/2. So you do 2 times 3 is 1 plus, 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7, 7 halves. And then 2 of these cancel with 2 of these, which is why you have 2 on the bottom here. Okay, negative 1 makes that positive and makes that positive. That's nice. Nothing to move. Everything's going to be on top. Sorry, these should be V's. Got to cut off. Okay, so you have u to the 1/2. Oh, sorry, this is a u. Clean that up. That's a u to the 1/2. And v to the 7 halves. Why? Well, you have 2 here, which is really 4 halves, plus the 3 halves is 7 halves. Okay, so that's basically 1. So you're left with y to the 3/4. You have 7/4 times 2 and 7/4 times 0. Okay? So this basically is 1, right? So that's really kind of gone, so there's really no reason to do that. But 7/4 times 0 is still 0, so it's gone. So you're just left with x to the 2 times 7, which is 14/4, which reduces to 7 halves. Okay, a lot going on here. This is just a to the negative 2. It just drops down. This negative 3 gets multiplied by here. Well, if you think about it, negative 2 over 3 times negative 3 over 1. The 3's cancel. Negative times negative is positive. Okay, so that's just a to the 2. And here you keep the base and add the exponents. So 2 minus 2 is really a to the 0, which is 1. Okay, simplify radicals. So remember, there's a 2 out here. You don't usually write it, but it is 2. It's going to help with variables. You're going to have that list that you know how to use with the list of all the perfect squares. You want to find a perfect square number that goes into 45. And always start at the high end so you don't have to do it twice. So 45, the smallest one of that is 36. Then 25, 16, 9. 9 times 5 is 45. Always write that one first. That's going to come out as 3. The square root of 9 is 3. The 5 stays inside. And then all you do is take this 4 divided by 2 to get 2. So b squared on the outside, no b left inside. On 12, it's going to break down to 4 and 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1, with 1 b, there's a b left inside. Right? So a little error there. Remember, if you want to think about it as pairs, that pair comes out as 1, leaving 1 behind. 200 breaks down to 100 times 2. Square root of 100 is 10. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so the end comes out, 2 is left inside. 24, not a big deal, but again, I like to put 4 and 6. 4 comes out as 2, 6 stays inside. 2 of the b's come out as 1, 1 b is stuck behind. 15, this one requires a little bit more work. So you go to your list, you look at 245, and you go, okay, 100. Nope, that's 200. Question 144. Nope, that goes into the decimal. Then 100, no. 81, doesn't work, decimal. 64, decimal. 49. Takes like 3 or 4 times in the calculator. 49 times 5. 49 comes out as 7, but don't forget this 5 is out here. Remember, put an arrow, circle it, something to remind you. The most common mistake is to just say 7a root 5, but it's really 35. So you have to multiply what comes out times the number that was already there. 96 is 16 times 6. Again, just use your chart. And then the x squareds both come out. And 6 is left inside. Okay, so 2x to the 4/3. This is your numerator goes here, denominator goes here. Remember, this technically should be put in parentheses so that it all goes to the 4. P to the 5/2. Numerator here, denominator here. Two-thirds, that should be in parentheses. 10a, that should be in parentheses. But just know where the numerator goes, where the denominator goes. Go in the opposite direction. Since the whole 3r is there, this should really be put in parentheses. Otherwise, it's just the r. So that was a mistake. 7n to the 3/2. Again, the entire 7n should be in parentheses. 10v to the 3/4. And 3x to the 5/2. Okay, so just make sure those are in parentheses. Simplify. Remember, this is really no different than 4x plus 3x, which is 7x. It's just instead of x, we have radical 3. That's the only difference. This is like negative 5x plus 4x, which is negative 1x. But instead of x, we have root 7. All right, now this one, now I would do this a little simpler. I would combine these first and do it this way. 3 root 18 minus root 8. Just less work this way. Instead of breaking it down twice, you only have to break it down once. Now at this point, the 18 breaks down to root 9 and root 2. And don't forget about this 3. So it's 3 times root 2. And this breaks down to 4 and 2. So minus 2 root 2. So that's 9 root 2 minus 2 root 2, which is still the same answer. Just a little less work. 7 root 2. All right, now 28, radical 2, radical 24, radical 6, you cannot join. Remember, even on this test, people are still saying, oh, that's 26 minus 6, that's radical 20. You can't do it. This is like a 2x plus 2y minus 3z. You cannot combine different radicals. The 24 will break down to 4 and 6. Then you have radical 6's that simplify. And again here, and actually that should be a minus, because 2 minus, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. 2 times 2 is 4, minus 3 is 1. That is correct. But remember, you cannot combine here. This is like 2x plus y. You leave it like that. You cannot say radical 8. They don't combine. Here you're distributing. So inside times inside, radical 50. Here, this is just the outside, so it just tacks on to 2. But even though this is the correct answer, it's not the perfect answer because 50 breaks down to 25 and 2. So your final answer is 5 root 2 plus 2 root 10. Here, inside times inside for both. 3 times 10 is 30. 3 times 3 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. So there's your final answer. And if you wrote 3 plus root 30, that's fine also. Here, outside times outside, negative 8. Inside times inside. Now remember, you can skip right to here if you want. If you remember, this radical times itself is just whatever's under the radical. But if you want to go radical 25 and then simplify, that's up to you. They're both perfectly acceptable. Now, 6 cannot break down. 10 cannot break down. But when you multiply and get 60, now there's a perfect square trapped inside. So that's going to come out as a 2 and leave you with 2 root 15. All right. No, even though it looks scary, there's no rationalizing here because on the bottom, this is simply just 5. And you're done. You can't do anything with the root 2. This simplifies to just 4. Square root of 16 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. And on top, there's nothing to do. Now, let's say this number up here was, say, 10. You could reduce with the 8. 16, you could reduce with the 8. But 5 root 15 over 8, that's your final answer. Exponents. So, 25 to the 1/2. Really, that is just square root of 25. So if you wanted to write it like that first and then come here, that's okay. 27 to the 2/3. Remember, this is 27 with your radical to the 2/3. Then box this off. The cube root of 27 is 3, and then 3 squared is 9. 10,000 to the 3/4. That's 10,000 to the 3/4. Box it off. If you put that in your calculator, you will get 10. And then 10 cubed is 1,000. More practice for simplifying. Okay, so nothing really new here. I'm not going to go over it. We've already covered these problems, just good extra practice. Now, down at 41 and 42, this is rationalizing. Okay, very simple ones. So not really complicated. You cannot have a radical 3, so you multiply by radical 3 to get 3. Whatever you do to the bottom, you must do the top. Hence the answer is 7 root 3 over 3. Same thing here. You multiply radical 2 to get 2. Radical 2 times radical 5 is radical 10. It's 6 times long. That's it. Okay. Here, only the irrational ones are marked. All the other ones are rational. Okay? So, negative 5, 1/8, square root of 4, which is 2, 8 plus 7, which is 15, and 8 times 7, which is 56. Those are all rational numbers. 48, 45, 48, and 49 are irrational. Okay, polynomials. Standard form means write in descending order of the exponents. So 3, then 1, then your constant. The lead coefficient is the number. So I suggest, remember, go through first and find your biggest one. Make sure you circle any negatives with it. This one's not much to do there. That one, we have a 4, that's our biggest one. 3 is our biggest one, don't forget the negative. Okay? That's the one that goes first. By circling that, you're also reminding yourself of the lead coefficient. The lead coefficient is the number in front of the one you circled. So 3, negative 3, negative 4, 4, 3, and negative 3. And then you got, in other words, cubic, quartic, quadratic, so forth. And number of terms, you just count how many terms are separated by plus and minus signs. Simplified. So number 7 is really nothing. Those parentheses mean nothing. I like to just group my stuff like so. So I know what I'm putting together. Make sure I'm joining the right things. Remember, 6x squared plus 3x squared is not 9x to the 4th. It's 9x squared. It's 6 apples plus 3 apples is 9 apples. Not applesauce, not apple pie. So that stays the same. 8 is important. The parentheses do matter here because you got to subtract both of those. Okay? So I mean minus 3x squared plus 3. That's why we get 12, because 9 plus 3 is 12. Not 9 minus 3 is 6. 9, parentheses don't matter, just join like terms. 10, please remember to send this negative to everything. So everything becomes negative, and then you join like terms. 2, you're just saying 2 in. 3x to the 1, be careful. So that makes x to the 3, x to the 2, and x, along with their coefficients. On 13, we're foiling, so first times first, 12x squared, outer, 21x, inner, 16x, last, 28. Same thing here, except the nice thing is, these are exactly the same, 1 plus, 1 minus. So there is no outside and inside term. It's just first, sorry, that didn't work. It's just first times first and last times last. The O and the I cancel each other. So that's all you have to do. Same thing here. First times first, outer, last times last. Now this one is a 3 by 2, which means you're going to get 6 terms and then simplify. So you're going to do 3x times all of these and negative 5 times all of these. I like to do the 2, send the 2 in first. Some people like to write it in front. It doesn't really matter. I just draw it that way. And then it simplifies to your answer there. Now this one's a nasty one, number 17. It's a lot of work because you have to send the x squared here, here, and here. The negative 7x here, here, and here. And then it gets messy drawing it, but you have to send the 4 into all 3. And then join like terms. Remember, hit pause when you need to. Now on 18, be careful. There's a barrier here. The 3x does not cross it. It only gets sent there. The most common mistake is to send the 3x to the 4x squared to get 12x cubed. You're not doing that. You just multiply the 3x times those 2 to get this. Then you tack that on. Same thing on number 19. Send the 2 in here, here, and here. Boom. Send the 2x here and here. Boom. Then join like terms. 20. Send the 3x here, here, and here. Careful. Negative 2x squared here, here, and here. First 3 terms, last 3 terms. then join like terms. Okay, everybody's favorite, factoring. Number 21 does not break down into parentheses. All you can do is take out a common denominator, and the GCF is only x, because nothing goes into 5 and 11. Then you just divide, there's your answer. Number 22, you can take a 6 out of all of them and an x, because x to the 1, x to the 2, x to the 3, they all have at least one x. 23, you can factor. You need two numbers that multiply to give you 35. Signs are going to be the same, and they're both going to be positive, and they have to add up to 12. So 1 and 35, 5 and 7. That's your only choices. Here you need numbers that make 48. 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, and 6 times 8. Now, I always tell you, start with the closest together. 6 and 8 don't work. You try 6 and 8, then you try 8 and 6, doesn't work. You need 12 and 4. It's okay. Remember, this tells you the signs are both going to be the same. This tells you they're both going to be negative. You need two numbers that multiply to give you 48 that add up to 16. 25. You have numbers on A and C. So you start with the prime number here. 2 and 1 is the only way to make 2. Now 14 is 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. You just have to do the work and see if it works. If you did 2 and 7 first, you would have gotten the wrong numbers because you need them to subtract to positive 3. And if you would have done 2 and 7, you would have gotten 14 minus 2, which is 12. But here you get 7 minus 4, which is 3. It checks out. 26, not that bad. You have to do 5 and 1 because it's prime. Start there, it's easy. Then you have 1 and 6, 2 and 3. They have to add up to negative 13. 2. Actually, that's a mistake, I believe. Wait, we'll check that. Yeah, plus means they're both the same. That's treating it like it's minus. So that's a mistake. So actually, it's got to be 3 and 2. And that's why you check your work. 3 times x is 3, 2 times 5 is 10, and they both are going to be negative. So it's x minus 2, 5x minus 3. Because they add to negative 13. Now, if that was a negative 6, then the original answer would have been correct. How easy a sign can change an answer. 27, the easiest one to do. Perfect squares, difference, square root of x squared, square root of 9, 1 plus 1 minus. Same thing here. Even though this is more complicated, square root of 25 is 5. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 36, square root of y squared, 1 plus 1 minus. Anytime you see 4, you know you're going to do grouping. So you're going to do these two and these two. Then you're going to do the GCF. Pull that out, divide. Remember, this has to be the same as this, so I write that right away. Kind of cheat. Then once you know what this is, it hooks up with the 2r squared, and then the other 3r minus 2 drops down. Same thing here. Put them together. GCF. Hook them up. You're done. 31 is a perfect difference of two squares. So square root of 4a squared, square root of 9b squared. 1 plus 1 minus. 12, all you can do is take a 6 out. GCF. 33, again, factor by grouping. Take out the GCF, hook them up, you're done. Okay, 34, you need two numbers that multiply to 17 that add to negative 18. That's 17 and 1. Negative 17, negative 1. On number 35, make your life easy by first pulling a 2 out. Okay, you factor 2 out. Then you need two numbers that multiply to give you 40 that differ by 3, which means you want the bigger number positive, smaller number negative. 36, more practice with difference of factoring by grouping. Same procedure. 37, two numbers that multiply to give you 64. They're both going to be positive, and they have to add to 16. That's 8 and 8. 38, take the GCF of 2 out first. Much easier to factor 9 than 18. Two numbers that multiply give you 9. The add up to negative 12. Sorry, my bad. Negative 6. 39, first take out the 2, GCF. Then you have the difference of squares. Square root of 16r squared. Oh, there should be no 2 there. Square root of 49t to the 4th is 7t squared. And then the 2 here, so that was right. So 2 and 2. No, it isn't. There should be no 2 on those. It's just on the t's. The t was 4. R's were 2, so that's correct, like that. 1 plus, 1 minus. Two numbers to multiply give you 40 to add to 13, 8 and 5. 41, take a 4 out first. Now you need two numbers to multiply give you 100 that differ by 21. 25 and 4. You want more positives, so 25 minus 4. Okay, 42, we finally have a subtraction one for grouping. So when you do that, make sure you put that plus in between. That is the same procedure. This is wrong. I don't know what happened there. It's just x squared minus 2 and 4x plus 1. It was x squared minus 1 that was broken down, but that's your answer right there. Okay, so perimeter and area. Remember, area is length times width. Length times width. So you literally are just going to distribute like we've already done. 2x plus 5 times 2x squared minus 4x plus 7. The perimeter is 2 of these plus 2 of these. So you can either write it as a big addition problem or just double each of them and combine. Your choice. Okay, so find the length and width. In other words, you're trying to factor this. So you're factor by grouping. Again, we have a subtraction problem finally. So it looks like that. And there's your length and width. 5x squared minus 1 and 5x plus 6. Okay, 45. Simplify. Well, first off, you have to FOIL 2x plus 3 times itself. So when you do that, 2x times 2x, remember, if you need to go off to the side and write it, go ahead and do that. If you do it in your head, go ahead. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 3 is 6x. 2x times 3 is 6x, and 3 times 3 is 9. And then minus 2x squared. Combine like terms, you know. Distribute the 3. 3x plus 6. FOIL x times x. Negative x plus 2x minus 2. Combine like terms. And then for some reason, this repeated, so moving on. Okay, last section. 5.1 to 5.4. You'll notice a lot of these should look familiar because they are from the graded worksheet. So, number 1, factoring. Well, all you can do is GCF. So you take the x out, and you leave the x minus 9. It's equals 0. So this is x equals 0. That's easy. X minus 9 equals 0. X equals 9. This is equals 0. So x minus 7 equals 0. X plus 4 equals 0. X equals 7. X equals negative 4. I think these were the ones that were on the test, so on the graded worksheet. Difference of two squares. X equals 6. X equals negative 6. I think you can see skipping that step. Number 4, it's guess and check, or the X Games method, whichever one works for you. If you do the X Games method, now that you know how to factor by grouping, it's very easy to do. Or you just do a guess and check, which would be a little bit more work. And then the answer is x equals 5/6, x equals negative 1/2. because you subtract 1 divided by 2, you add 5 divided by 6. Here, 5x equals 0, so x equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0, so x equals positive 3. Now number 6 is the difference of two squares after you factor out the 4. The 4 you don't do anything with because there's no variable out there. You just send these two equal to 0, so your answer is x equals negative 6 and x equals positive 6. Another way to write that is that's acceptable. Number 7, you have to move this over, but remember, when you do, it goes in the middle because it goes in standard form. Now this one is not as bad as it looks, so you can take a 4 out. Once you do that, you're just trying to guess and check for 4 and 9, which is not too bad. It ends up being 2x plus 3. Again, it's equals 0. Don't do anything with this. These are the same, so you just have to do it once. Subtract 3 and divide by 2. Negative 3 halves. Again, on 8, same thing. Take the 3 out, factor. These are the same. Don't do anything with this. So it's 5x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2, divide by 5. Well, we don't know what 5x minus 2 is, so this is add 2, divide by 5. This one is going to be subtract 3, divide by 4. And again, when you, on this one, don't move the 20x over, x squared over, even though it's only one move. Keep your x squared positive. So put this over, make it positive. Put this over, make it negative to make your life easier. Okay, square roots. First thing you're going to do is move the 1 over by subtraction. It's not 50. A lot of people did that on the graded worksheet. Don't just do it in your head if you keep making that mistake. It's not plus 1. It's minus 1. You're trying to get rid of that. If you add 1 to make 50, you're going to have to add 1 to get 2 on the left side. Divide by 3 and take the square root of 16, which remember, plus and minus. For 11, you add 5 to get 24, divide by 2 to get 12, and actually that's not correct either, got to go further. This breaks down to 4 and 3. So technically it's plus or minus, square root of 4 is 2, root 3. That's your answer. This is correct, but not completely correct. If you divide by 2, you get 121, square root both sides, plus and minus 11. Okay, now a lot of people want to do a lot of weird things on the graded worksheet with this. Remember, you just square root both sides. It's that simple. So you end up with x minus 5 equals plus or minus 8. And then you said equal to 8, negative 8, and you're done. 13 and negative 3. Same thing here. Plus or minus 9. Add 3, subtract 3, 6 and negative 3 is your answer. Square root both sides. Plus or minus 10. Subtract 2 to get 8, subtract 2 to get negative 12, then divide by 3. You get 8 thirds and negative 4. Okay, 16. Once you factor this, you end up with a negative 2 over here. Well, when you take the square root of both sides, you can't do that. So you get no solution. Number 17, for complete the square, remember, leave this space here. Write your parentheses. X, half of 2 is 1. Squared is 1. Add that here, you get 13. It's square root of 13, plus or minus, but then you have to move this 1 over. So actually, this is wrong. This should be negative 1 plus or minus square root of 13. Number 18. Oh, that's right. This problem got printed wrong, so it should be up here. So you have to write that in there. So when you subtract 25, well, that's an error then. That's done wrong. When you subtract 25, you're going to get 2 here. So 27 minus 25 is simply 2. So that is plus or minus the square root of 2. So your answer is 5 plus or minus the square root of 2. Okay, 19. Half of 16 is 8. Eight squared is 64. You add it here, you get 73. It does not simplify. You move the 8 over, it's negative 8 plus or minus 73. Okay, move the 15 over. You get 4. 19 minus 15 is 4. Half of negative 8 is negative 4. Squared is 16, both sides. That's 20. This breaks down to square root of 4, square root of 5. So 2 root 5. Then you move the negative 4 over, it becomes positive. Okay, you gotta move this over. When we subtract, we get 23. Then, half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. You have to add 9 over here, which gives us 32. That breaks down to 4, and, no, sorry, 8, no, easier, 16 and 2, silly me. 16 and 2. Square root of 16 is 4, 2 on the inside. Then you move the 3 over, error here, this should be negative 3. That's it.